Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of United Talks Podcast. If you're just joining, please do like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything. Like the video, give us your review and your take on everything and stuff like that. But you're welcome to United Talks Podcast, and this is the match preview show for the all-important game between Manchester United and Newcastle United. It's going to be a tough one, basically, because Newcastle are a bit of a hot and cold team. Man United also a bit of a hot and cold team right now. Form is basically, I think for this one, form is going to be out the window, considering how both teams have performed in the game. So basically, we're just going to be having, basically a game of both teams with loads of injuries and on all of that, and it's going to happen at Old Trafford. So it's going to be a game that redefines parts of our season and how we approach the game and stuff, basically. And it's the only Boxing Day game that Manchester United is going to have, so it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, basically. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. What do you think about the game? How do you think Man United is going to approach the game, and all of that? So I'll give you some insights into the game with regards to both teams, from the home side and the away side. From the home side, which is Manchester United, United's one Premier League clean sheet this season is the fewest after 17 games since 1958-59 season. So it's tough. We just can't keep a clean sheet. We score, but we still can't keep a clean sheet, right? And the one clean sheet was by St. Lomans, right? So it's going to be a little bit tough. And that's why when I predict that they're going to score us, but we need to actually score more to win more. And Manchester United also have scored 12 goals in the last 5 matches. And you look at the last 5 games, basically, for Manchester United, and you kind of get a sense of what is actually going on. In the last 5 matches, we have scored 12 goals. Also, you look at other things. Bruno Fernandes is set to miss several matches with soft tissue injury. I think it's a hamstring injury. Soft tissue, no doubt. But for a hamstring injury, if you look at it, he's going to be out for about a month, basically about a month from now to like end of January, and that's pretty much when all the other players are going to come back from AFCON and stuff. So it is what it is. And the next one is Casemiro was suspended for the game against Villa, and he's back. That's the highlight for me for this one. Casemiro is back for this game. Now, a win could see Newcastle leapfrog Manchester United in the table. A draw 2-2 with Chelsea this is from the Newcastle side. Newcastle drew 2-2 with Chelsea after leading 2-0 inside 20 minutes last weekend. They scored one of the fastest goals as well by Nick Voltamada, who scored the 2 goals actually. Then Newcastle have also 7 first-team players out injured, including Trippier, Pope, Burn, and Botman. And you look at both teams when it comes to like injuries, basically. Before we get to like all the other intricate stats that I always give with this match preview, you have absent players for Manchester United. Ahmad on international duty, Noussair Mazraoui on international duty, Bryan Mbeumo on international duty. Ahmad and Bryan Mbeumo are both playing for Cameroon and Cote d'Ivoire today. Then you have Harry Maguire, who has a knock, potentially, we don't know when he's going to be back, but supposed to be back this week. Then you have Matthijs de Ligt, who is going to be who's also out as well, doubtful. Then we have Bruno, who has an hamstring injury and is going to be back mid-January, so pretty much after. And then you have Kobbie Mainoo, who is out with a calf injury, potentially going to be out early January, right? Till early January. Then you have, for Newcastle, injured and suspended players, you have Nick Pope, who's out, he's doubtful. Dan Burn, rib injury. Emil Kraft, knee injury, is out till early January. You have Jamal Lascelles, who is muscle injury early January. Kieran Trippier is out with a hamstring injury early January. Then you have Sven Botman, who is out with a back injury. And I think also Matthijs de Ligt's own is a back injury as well. And then you have Valentino Livramento. That is the one that I was scared of, especially considering how good that guy is. And I think he's just 20, let's see his age. I think he's just 21. 23. So he's got I love that guy as a right back. He's such an athletic and a very aggressive player, Valentino Livramento. And then we have William Osula. I think that's a striker. He's out with an ankle injury till mid-January 2026. So it's pretty much super interesting to see you know, how both teams line up against each other. Obviously, you can't battle this Newcastle midfield. They have a very good three that have been playing together for a long time. So that is what it is. And then we also, which takes us to basically the other head-to-head stats that we can talk about. Basically, for both teams, Manchester United and Newcastle, Newcastle are currently 11th on the table with 23 points. Basically, Man United are 7th on the table with 26 points. And basically, if Manchester United loses to Newcastle by 3 goals or more, then they will leapfrog Man United on goals difference to 5th, right, with 26 points. But they're looking at both teams' forms. Both teams have similar form when it comes to like the last 5 games, and it's going to be really, really, really tough. Considering how the teams around Man United are playing, Liverpool are going to play Wolves. Obviously, we know how that's going to go because Wolves are the worst team. Chelsea are going to play Aston Villa, and it's going to be a tough one because Aston Villa are the form team of the league. Man City are playing Nottingham Forest. Arsenal are playing Brighton, another tough team, but they could beat Brighton because Brighton love to play out from the back, and Arsenal will pounce with their press. And then Everton, I'm talking about teams around Man United. Crystal Palace lost their last 2 games, and they've had 3 losses in 5. They're playing against Tottenham Hotspur, and basically they just lost to Arsenal in the Carabao Cup, so they will be kind of tired from that one, so we don't know how that game's gonna go. So Man United definitely need to win, because all teams around us are either Crystal Palace, who are on the same points with Man United, in 8th, Brighton, who are 2 points behind Man United, who could leapfrog Man United, and it could just go downhill from here. So this makes it all important. But for me, because of the headline and everything, I was like, who's gonna start the game? That's my take on it. Who's gonna start, considering how decimated we've been, especially in the midfield, and with the injuries at the back and stuff. Yeah, you have to think about it. So the 2 form teams of the league this season are Man City and Aston Villa, considering the last 5 games. But Aston Villa are the form team of the league with the longest winning run this season. Now, when you look at the offensive contributions with regards to both teams, the two top scorers for both Manchester United and Newcastle are Bryan Mbeumo and Nick Votamada. Nick Votamada has 7 goals. His average FOTMOB rating is a 6.92. His expected goal is 5.88. He's got 1 assist. He's played 14 matches. While Bryan Mbeumo has an average FOTMOB rating of 7.24. He has 6 goals, 5.55 expected goals, which he smashed he outdid his expected goals, or XG. 1 assist, and he's played 16 matches. Now you look at like other top performers on this chart or this dashboard that I'm showing you guys. You look at Bruno Fernandes has 7 assists and 5 goals. He's out injured till mid-January, so that's going to be a bummer for everyone. And then obviously Nick Votamada has 7 goals and 1 assist on competitions. And then you have Bryan Mbeumo, 1 goal, 6 assists. 1 assist, 6 goals. Then you have Bruno Guimaraes. Bruno Guimaraes has 5 goals and 2 assists, and then Casemiro has 1 goal, 1 assist, 4 goals. Harvey Barnes has 3 goals. Mateusz Cunha has 3 goals, 1 assist, and Jacob Murphy has 2 goals, 1 assist. Now you look at when it comes to like team ranks, basically how they've performed with regards to that. Goals for Man United are higher, 2nd in the league, basically in goals scored, to Newcastle, who are 16th in goals scored. You look at both teams, how many goals both teams have scored. Newcastle have only scored 23 goals and considered 22, while Man United have scored 31 goals, considered 28. So we've considered more, but we scored more. So it's a problem. You look at assists, Man United are 4th, Newcastle are 13th in assists. Then you look at saves, Man United are poor in saves, 17th to Newcastle 7th. And then shots, Man United are 1st in shots to Newcastle's 10th. Right? So it's going to be really tough with regards to we need to convert those high shots volume to high goals volume. Now, when you look at that, you tend to think of things like differently. Then you look at the goal progression by minute. Newcastle have scored 3 goals in the first couple minutes, first 15 minutes, while Manchester United has scored 4 goals in the first 15 minutes. And most of Man United goals in this chart comes from the 61st minute to the 75th minute, while Newcastle's most goals they're spread across 16 to 30 they score, and then from the 75th minute upward they scored 5 and all of that. But when you look at head to head, Man United have won 92 times. The last win coming in the last 3 games. Man United are in the last game in the last 2 games, Man United have lost to Newcastle. So it's really, really, really tough again. Last 2 games, Man United have lost to Newcastle. We beat them 3-2. I think that's in one of the league games. And then, obviously, we lost 1-0 again. And then we lost 3-0 again. So in the last 5 games, Man United have beaten Newcastle once and lost 4 times. Tough, right? Then you look at form when it comes to just Premier League alone, basically. Both teams have 2 wins, 2 draws, and 2 losses. And it's tough. You look at the teams that Newcastle lost to. They lost to Sunderland, while Man United lost to Villa. And then you look at the teams that Newcastle drew to: 2-2 to Chelsea, 2-2 to Spurs, and they lost 4. They won 4-1 against Everton. While Man United beat Crystal Palace, drew to West Ham, beat Wolves, drew to Bournemouth, and then lost to Aston Villa. So this game is an all-important, all-energetic, all-tough game. And then when you look at how Newcastle play under Eddie Howe, you analyze basically that they basically play a 4-3-3 formation, and you could tell that both Eddie Howe is a bit of a stickler for his 3 midfielders and all of that. His 3 midfielders are very key in what makes Newcastle tick. Under Eddie Howe, Newcastle play a proactive, high intensity and technically flexible style of football built around 4-3-3 formation, and this approach actually emphasizes on aggressive, quick transitions, and they build defensive and a solid defensive organization. With regards to the tactical principles around this, the formation and flexibility is one of those things. How he primarily uses a 4-3-3 or occasionally a 4-2-3-1, but the team shape is fluid and adapts during play. In possession, they might shift into a back 3 to aid build up and defensively they often form a compact 4-5-1 or a 4-1-4-1 mid to low to high block, basically. When it comes to their passing, they're very intense. The hallmark of Howe's team is their relentless work rate and high pressing from the front, aiming to disrupt the opposition's build up and win the ball back high up the pitch. This has actually become a core part of their identity. Quick transitions is one of their style of play. As regards to that, the team excels in transitioning quickly from defense to attack once possession is regained. They look to move the ball vertically and purposely, leveraging the pace of their wide players like Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes. And then positionally, when it comes to their structure in possession, while not prioritizing high possession percentages, Howe's side emphasizes ball security and positional discipline. Build up often starts from the back with Bruno Fernandes acting as a deep line playmaker, linking play and providing a crucial defensive screen, while fullbacks like Kieran Trippier, who is actually injured, and Lewis Hall, who's potentially going to play this game, offer width and support attacking overloads. Right now, defensively, when you look at the defensive solidity, Newcastle have developed a strong defensive record under Howe, built on collective responsibility, compactness, and area strength from centre backs. Sven Botman, who is actually injured, and Fabian Schär, they force opponents into wide areas and are highly effective at dealing with crosses. So, which is going to be critical with regards to how Manchester United is going to play against this Newcastle side, considering the kind of players they have. You look at other players, interesting players. I've said Bruno Guimaraes and all of that. So we're going to talk about how Newcastle will line up against Manchester United. We're talking about predicted lineup right now. And the predicted lineup for Newcastle facing Manchester United goes like they have Ramsdale in goal because Nick Pope is injured, and then they have Shaw and Diallo, and then obviously with regards to how they will line up, you have Fabian Shaw and you have Diallo, and then you also have Lewis Hall, who's going to play as a left back, and Lewis Miley, who's going to play as a right back. Then for the midfield, the 4-3-3, they have Sandro Tonali in the mid, Bruno Guimaraes, right centre mid, and then you have Jacob Ramsey, left centre mid, was recently bought from Aston Villa. And then obviously their front three is going to be Gordon, Anthony Gordon, Nick Votamada, and Jacob Murphy, this front three. And they have a very solid bench. You look at their bench, you know, they have people like Elanga, you know, they have all the other people that are going to be coming in to actually make the make a difference for Newcastle. So it is what it is, which will now take me to the key player for Newcastle United. And that key player is the player that has always been performing for them in the last 25 matches that they've played, and that is Bruno Guimaraes. Now, Bruno Guimaraes played 25 games for Newcastle. He's basically 2,079 minutes played, 5 goals, 4 assists for the 28-year-old Brazilian. And he has basically not scored in the last 4, but most definitely has performed for them. He delivered in one of the games against Tottenham Hotspur where they played 2-2 and all of that. That was where he scored a goal and all of that. So it is what it is. Now, if you look at the major highlight of both teams for this game, is that neither side has kept a clean sheet in 10 matches. So which means that Newcastle can be scored on. So that's on the side. Now, with regards to Manchester United and how Manchester United play, obviously we know that Ruben Amorim is a stickler for his 3-4-3 formation or his 3-4-3 system, where he has his 3 centre backs as right, left, and central centre back, and then 2 holding midfielders. One is a 10, one is a 6, one is a 10, or both. One is a 6, one is an 8. Both of them are probably going to be 6s, deep line playmakers, and all of that. With 2 wing backs that when they press in triangles. Wing backs on the other side, say for example, Manuel Ugarte, Patrick Dogu, and Mason Mount will press one side and set a trap to try to win. Case in point, the ball up against Villa where Dogu won it and then Cunha scored. Same thing on the right side where, say for example, now that Casemiro is back, you have Xerxes, Diallo, and Cunha pressing high to win the ball so high, and then when they win the ball so high, and one of them could actually get the chance to score. So it is very, very important that Manchester United take full advantage of our pressing game, basically, albeit it's a risk and reward kind of thing, high risk, high reward. And obviously, if you take the risk, if you don't cover back or defend, it's a problem. So, like I said, Ruben Amorim is a 3-4-3 system, and then basically he seems to want to change from time to time to flip it into a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, as the case may be. In the last game against Villa, he did a 4-1-3, 4-1-3-2 or something. So it was I think it was 4-1-3-2. Yeah. So it kind of switched up a little bit, and it was a bit of an interesting one to see. At some point when they are defensive, it's a 4-4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 or 4-4-2, and sometimes when they are holding the ball, it's a 3-4-3, depending on where you see which player is, especially when the wing backs are very high. So it is what it is. One of those things you have to see and you have to look at and just say to yourself, you know what, Ruben Amorim is evolving considering the injuries that have happened to the main players in this team. Then it takes us to the predicted lineup for Manchester United versus Aston Villa versus Newcastle. I'm thinking about this and I'm like, who's gonna start? Who's basically gonna start this? Because thinking about the squad is like, it's hard because of the injuries that we have, because of the kind of players that are out injured, right? And I thought about it, and last minute I was like, okay, I'm gonna go with a squad that feels a bit defensive but also strong. And I'm going to go with St. Laurent's in net, albeit everybody's saying, oh, he's conceding too many goals. They start comparing with Andre Onana in his first season and stuff like that. So you have to start think about it like, oh my days. Okay, so St. Laurent's in net, and then Aiden Heaven, centre back, Lenny Euro and Luke Shaw, right side and left side centre back. Lenny Euro, well, had a bit of a sticky one in the game against Villa, bit of a sticky one. Everybody wants to blame Manuel Ugarte for not pushing up, but then if you want to blame someone for not doing his job, and you want to protect another one for not doing their job really well, then it just puts it like you're supporting both sides of the coin. Because obviously everybody is at fault defensively, right? So, but then if you are the defender and you are not magneting your player, doing your job, do your job to set, like, you know the player is going to break, push the player to the side, defend. And the truth is, yeah, we've got to protect Lenny Euro, but also you have to also think about the fact that he needs to do his job. He's a young lad, he's 20, but no doubt he needs to take responsibility for his actions because he's an adult now. He's no longer a teenager, right? But the fact is, we've got to protect him no matter what. But then you have to also think about the fact that when you have the opportunity to do your job, you do your job. Because in the Premier League, you make a mistake, you'll be pounced on. So Lenny Euro is back in the starting lineup. We have no one else who can play that centre-back role, especially from the right side, and it's the only right-footed centre-back that is available. Then the left centre-back is Luke Shaw. Obviously, he's been in form, he's been most consistent, and all of that. Albeit, I've beginning to see some holes, but then he's doing his job, trying to press high and also trying to defend, and that involves a lot of running. And he's been in form. He's been playing multiple games without even getting injured or pulling up or stuff like that. That's credit to Ruben Amorim ensuring that Luke Shaw consistently plays and manages his load when necessary. And the truth is, he's been doing what he's been asked to do, right? Then you look at the two centre midfield roles, and that is where I have an issue. Who becomes the deep line playmaker? Could it be Casemiro or could it be Manuel Ugarte? And I think Casemiro is more of a deep line playmaker than Manuel Ugarte. Manuel Ugarte is more of a chaser, a hunter, a defender, and a defensive midfielder and stuff like that. So it's going to be pretty tricky with regards to the midfield role. But these are the two midfielders we have that are available. The rest are injured, basically. Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes and Kobbie Mainoo, and they're going to be back in January, which means that Ruben Amorim might potentially need to sign a midfielder in January, but we'll see how that goes because we're linked to a lot of midfielders. And then you have wing backs in Patrick Dogo, obviously who had a good game against Villa, and then Diogo Dalot, who had an okay game against Villa as well. Then in the 210s, we have Mason Mount and Matheus Cunha. Obviously, Cunha had a good game against Villa, and then he could potentially have a very good game against Newcastle. And obviously, we have Benjamin Sesko. There is a potential for Xerxes to start this game because of how Man United wants to be fluid and not allow Newcastle's centre-backs to control how we attack. Amorim he could do that, right? Amorim could do that. Then we also have another conundrum also in the midfield because could he play Lisandro Martinez as one of the defensive midfielders, and then it will be Martinez and Casemiro, or you keep your cards close to your chest and play Manuel Ugarte and Casemiro, and then sub off Ugarte and bring on Lisandro Martinez, and then we start figuring out how things will pan out from there. But it is what it is, and Aiden Heaven has played really well this last couple. So this is me just analyzing the lineup. Aiden Heaven has played really well over the last couple of games. Obviously, he had a shaky one against West Ham, but now he's had a good one against Aston Villa, and he locked out the attacker. So Nick Votamada is a very good sneaky guy, and if Newcastle, who are very good at crossing the ball into the box, cross the ball into the box, that guy is going to get his head on stuff. So Aiden Heaven has to be on his A game on the day. Now, key player for Manchester United for this one, for me, it will be Matheus Cunha. Matheus Cunha has been very, very, very consistent the last couple of games. He has really done well, and we're gonna give him the credit where credit is due. Matheus Cunha has played 15 games for Man United, 1,127 minutes in total, and then he's got 3 goals and 1 assist. Obviously, he's beginning to deliver with the goals, not at the rate that Mbeumo has, obviously, but at least when Mbeumo scored 20 goals, he scored 15. So if you look at the way his goal rates is going, he's definitely going to reach that 15 goal mark before the end of the season. He scored 2 goals in the last 2 games against Bournemouth and against Villa, which means he's going to be our outlet for goals, and we need to take full advantage of that. Then yeah, he was very active. He created an assist against Wolverhampton Wanderers, and against West Ham was a bit of a sticky one for him. But then he really performed well. Now, another key player for this game for Manchester United is going to be Casemiro, because Casemiro is back. And I'm looking at it from that perspective of the fact that, okay, he scored a goal in the 4-4 against Bournemouth and then was suspended for the Villa game. And then he performed really well against Wolverhampton Wanderers, performed well against West Ham, was subbed off, and then was considered again, or I think, yeah. And then obviously he performed really well against Crystal Palace. He's played 1,002 minutes. And he's really, really done well, man. And then, obviously, 4 goals and 1 assist. So the goals are coming. He's played 15 games. The goals are coming from everywhere in this Man United squad. Now, obviously, we're going to miss a couple players and stuff. Now, which takes me to the 4 ways in which Manchester United can beat Newcastle. Now, you think about it and you start to ask yourself certain questions like, how can Man United beat Newcastle? You know, in this 3-4-3 formation and all of that. Yeah. Newcastle are a very high intensity team. And in truth, you have to be able to beat their press. They're also aggressive with fouls and with the way they tackle and all that. I'm going to try and see if I can find their tackling stats to give you just give me a second. Now I'm gonna find the tackling stats to try to give you a sense of what is going on. Now, there are 4 ways I think Manchester United can beat Newcastle. And I always talk about 4 strategies, right? To beat Newcastle under Eddie Howe, teams exploit for specific tactical vulnerabilities in their high-intensity game. And here are 4 key strategies. First, you have to bypass the high press, right? With long balls and quick switches of play. And obviously, Casemiro is good at those kind of things, but we need control in that midfield to be able to do that. First, Newcastle's aggressive high press can be bypassed with direct long balls over the top. Yeah, St. Lawrence as well, back in net. Accurate switches to the flanks, exploiting the space left behind their committed fullbacks and advanced central midfielders. Goalkeepers can play long balls to bypass the press entirely. But that means you play the long balls to Benjamin Šeško, and Šeško hits it down for someone like Cunha or Mount to try to win. Then, obviously, number 2, you have to exploit the space behind the defensive line. Howe typically uses a high defensive line to compress the pitch. So, quick, pacey forwards, making runs into channels. I mean, Cunha has done that. He can carry the ball and run into channels, and in behind the central defenders can capitalize on the space. And Newcastle's lack of raw pace at the back, once the initial press is broken through. Then the third strategy would be to use natural width and target the fullbacks with crosses. You force Newcastle and force the play into wide areas, and Newcastle's defensive structure can also be vulnerable to overloads on the wings. Particularly against Kieran Trippier. Obviously, he's going to be injured on the far side, so it will be Lewis Miley, utilizing strong wingers to hog the touchline and deliver high-quality crosses into the box to create opportunities, especially if Man United attackers have good aerial ability, and that is the responsibility now falls on Benjamin Šeško to deliver that aerial ability. How many crosses are going to put in the box? And the responsibility of putting those crosses falls solely on Diogo Dalot and Patrick Dogu putting in good crosses. Even Luke Shaw as well. If he comes into the half space, he can put in crosses if Manchester United want to capitalize on the thing. It's just that Thiaw and the other defender we had in the team, the other defender we have, Shah, are very good with headers. But another thing again with Shah is that I think he had a knock in the last game, but I think he's still good to play. And then obviously you have to also counter-attack effectively through the open midfield. Sandro Tonali is good at running. Sandro Tonali is good at chasing down. Guimaraes is good at chasing down. I don't think Joelinton will play this game, but it depends on whether he's available for this game and all that. So Newcastle central midfielders like Joelinton and Bruno Guimaraes push forward aggressively to support the press and attack. which can also leave space in the midfield for counter-attacks. So we need to absorb the initial pressure with a deeper defensive line and launch quick vertical attacks through the midfield to exploit these gaps. Right, so these are the ways that Man United can actually capitalize on Newcastle and basically beat them. But then their midfield is a flat three. They press as well: Jacob Ramsey, Sandro Tonali, and Bruno Guimaraes. Then you have to think about that perspective of, you know, just basically finding loopholes to beat that. Luis Mali can be got at as well, especially whoever is playing on the left side of Man United's attack. If Cunha is there, if Mount is there, Mount can use his experience and all of that to capitalize on that. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. Now to my prediction with regards to how Manchester United is going to fare in this game. It's going to be a really tough game. I'm not going to lie. Both teams haven't kept a clean sheet in 10 games. So, what do you think will be the predictor scoreline? Put it in the comment section. For me, seeing as the home game with the home crowd, and we've lost our unbeaten records. So 4 games unbeaten, done. 4 games away, unbeaten, done. Home form, unbeaten, done. So we start again. Man United is going to win this game 2-1. Again, I'm predicting a 2-1. It's not a safe one. It's just going to be the fact that we haven't kept a clean sheet in 10 games. So I'm saying, okay, they're going to score us, but we're going to win this game 2-1, and it's going to be against the odds, basically. But let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts and feelings about everything that has gone on with this video and all of the, you know, predictions and stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. This is Christmas Eve, and I'm very happy to actually be doing this content for you guys and to be giving you all of this analysis over the last year or so. But I really appreciate you guys, the followers. We've actually been growing our community. I don't take your comments for granted. Yeah, even if I don't agree with you guys on certain things, you know, we basically just agree to disagree. So shout out to all of you who have been commenting. Shout out to all of you who have been joining us on our live streams. We'll do a live watch along for this game on Boxing Day. But let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section as we proceed towards, you know, the game between Manchester United and Newcastle at Old Trafford. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye. Don't forget to leave your comments in the comment section, what you think about the game, what you expect from the game, and all of that. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye, and God bless.